We'll just go right to left. Jason, start with you. Just give us about 30 seconds on who you are and what you're working on. If you want the mics, I can do that. If you want.
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
So I've been in public education since I was 22 years old. Public servant all my life. Knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was in first grade. I remember helping someone with math, and it was just, I wanted to see him get it. And that was my passion, teaching. But really my focus now is to supporting all of our county schools. We have 10 school districts in our county, about 37,000 students, to support technology innovation for all of our county students and programs. So working closely with Pacific Elementary Superintendent Principal, Eric over here, and a lot of 9 other superintendent principals and other of our educators across Santa Cruz County. We've been doing a few big things specifically around innovation, entrepreneurship. Again, through state grant and through state monies, working with the Fab Labs in Jordan. We have a program where we're launching 2 maker spaces in 2 high schools across our county. Connecting core curriculum, because it's the teacher's job to still teach core content standards. That's how they're evaluated by the state. But how do we tie Civil War lessons to making and engineering? So having the students create a prototype in the makerspace and design that to build out a true recognition of their understanding of the content building. So connecting that design engineering to the core content standards. Because again, the teacher's role is to teach those core content standards, and how do we build that relationship and get students really excited about learning and teaching. Number 2, big focus of that is teaching teachers on how to teach their students what is design thinking. Using the D-School model, as Joe Ben mentioned, the iterative process, and it's okay to fail. Usually when you get an F in school, it's bad. But teaching the shift of how grading can shift and how we learn from our failures, the idea of formative assessments, not summative assessments. So those are the big things around how we're shifting what we're doing in our schools today. We also have a robotics team. We have about 80 students across the county doing underwater robotics. They're actually, they have a club today on the weekends. We have got 3rd place internationally last year in underwater robotics. And again, kind of
yeah, let's give it a hand, everybody. All right, that's awesome, thanks. Amelia, tell us about you and a little bit about what you're doing with Wonderfill.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wonderfill. We got started in 2021. Can you raise your hand if you use a reusable water bottle? Yeah, so that's most people. I think the reason why reusable water bottles are so popular is because you can just assume that there's going to be a place for you to fill it up, right? So we wanted to kind of take that reusable water bottle model and bring it to every other liquid and cream product. So we make refill vending machines for shampoo, conditioner, soap, laundry detergent, all of your daily use products. And we mostly put them in universities so that students, they're living on campus, right? They can go refill their plastic bottle over and over and over again with all of their daily use products. And then we also have them in Whole Foods. And we also, so we build these refill vending machines, but we also have a circular solution for distributing these products. So we reuse all of the containers that restock our refill stations. And therefore, we created a distribution solution for liquid and cream products that require 0 single-use plastic. And that has had a tremendous impact on plastic consumption and also emissions and efficiency of these liquid and cream product supply chains. And it's actually cheaper to distribute products in this way than it is to distribute them in prepackaged containers. So I'm excited to tell you more.
Saul Lindman with your driver hat on. What do you got cooking, man?
Hey everybody, I'm Saul. Nice to know you. I'm a local entrepreneur. I've probably started a dozen startups in my career, some of which have gone really poorly, some of which have done okay. Most recently, I have a company called Driver, which services Amazon delivery service partners. It's pretty boring. It's like a SaaS product. But you know, our family also owns Pleasure Pizza, and we do something called Pi-Fi, which is a builder space for people who want to build AI products. Mostly we work with undergrads right now, the university, just on whatever projects they want to build. And I find it really fulfilling to work with students who are excited about entrepreneurialism and want to build stuff and, you know, want to get things into market and see what that's like. It's easier now than ever, which was kind of a core realization about a year ago when I started seeing students bring projects to me that were in market, with customers, making money, and I thought, wow, the world has really changed very suddenly, and the ability for anybody, any of us here, to build a product and get it into market has never been, the barrier's never been lower. So I love building products, I love building companies, I love working with people, and that's me. That's what I do.
Well, thank you, all three of you, for being here. I am now going to hand it over to the tough question askers. So Fiona, and I want you this time to come up, grab the mic, look into the camera, and ask your question.
Okay. What did you love doing as a kid, and how did that shape who you are today?
All right, so what I loved is being able to have independence, have support from my parents to, it's okay, do what you want to do, enjoy what you love. I was a drummer, I loved drumming as a kid, started drumming in 3rd grade, and my parents took it and plugged their ears, but they lived with it and let me do what I wanted to do. So having choice. And again, in our schools, we're trying to build that, how students learn by having some choice about how they learn and how they get assessed or evaluated, and building that into the school day as well. That's big, because having choice and having passion around that choice is key. There's a term called passion-based learning out there we're trying to build out. Having students learn in the schools around their passions. But again, with the realm of the umbrella of the core standards as well, embedded into that. That's number one. Number two, I think the ability to try and get dirty, and it's okay to fail. And that was a big thing. We heard that from Joe Ben as well. Knowing that I was okay if I skin my knee when I play baseball. It was okay. Get up and try again. And so having that ability, having the upbringing, the parents and the mentors. You know, my parents were my mentors, having them say, okay. And not all students have that. Not all students have that mentorship at home. So how do we allow our schools to do that, allow our community to build that mentorship is key as well. Thank you.
Anybody else want to grab that one?
I mean, I think I was kind of like a bored kid, you know what I mean? I was always bored. But I had a big imagination like you guys. And so I think I spent a lot of time imagining what I wanted to make and things I wanted to build. And so, yeah, as a kid, I really was always dreaming. And I think that that's a really important part, and something that may get lost these days in society, is the ability to dream a big dream and then go after it. And that to me, I was always, and my parents were really good about that. My dad was an entrepreneur as well, and he had his own insurance company. I used to go hang out and think, and one day, I don't want to have an insurance company. This sort of thing, where everybody's like hanging out and working together and building stuff. And so yeah, I think that was my childhood.
Amelia, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I like to do a lot of things as a kid. I love to make jewelry, and I think that was sort of foundational in my, learning how to tinker with things and make things and then sell the earrings that I would make. And then I also did ballet, but I think probably one of the most formative things that I looked forward to as a kid was just having dinner with my family around the dinner table. And that, we would just complain about the government. My parents would complain about their jobs. We would talk about what we were learning at school, and it was a really good way to just learn about how the world worked, like Jill said earlier. Like, my dad was a doctor, he would complain about the insurance industry. My mom was a teacher, she would complain about how underfunded education was, and then it was kind of like, what are we going to do about it, right? What is our power? How can we make the world a better place? And so me and my sisters, we always just had kind of an open dialogue with our parents about how we were going to contribute to society. And I think it's really important, especially when you're young, to just think about what life is like for other people. I think all of us in this room are probably pretty lucky, and there are a lot of people out there who really aren't. And so it's our responsibility to make the world a better place, and that really starts at home at the dinner table with your family.
That's awesome. All right, Hunter, you ready for the next hard question?
What do you think about entrepreneurship at a young age?
All right, let's go the other way. Let's go Saul this time.
I think it's a bad idea. No, I think, look, to me, and I've said this and we've hung out a bit, entrepreneurialism is an art form. And any artist wants to do their art and perfect their art. And you guys are starting now learning really important skills to create and monetize and to build sustainable businesses. And I think that's great at any age. It's whatever's in your heart, not what people tell you. And if it's in your heart to build things, to make things, to do things, then don't let anybody get in your way.
I think it's really, really critical. I think being an entrepreneur is being a problem solver, and also a really good communicator. And so those are the things that I would recommend working on when you're young, right? You don't have to start a business, but just think about like, what problems do I care about, and how are they currently being solved, or how are people currently trying to solve them, and what's not working about that. And then also, how can I be as informed as possible about something before I go in and try to solve it, right? Whatever you decide to do, you're gonna be entering into a world where a lot of other people are gonna be trying to do what you're doing. And it's really, really beneficial to know what people are already trying and how it's going. So don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, your kids, like, you definitely use that kind of power of being a kid to just ask really open-ended questions and learn as much as you can, because people aren't gonna see you as like a competitor, right? They're going to see you as, oh, I would love to teach this kid about what's working and what's not working in my industry, right? So ask a ton of questions, learn about how the world works, and then people will tell you, like, oh, this is something that's really hard about my job, or this is something that's really hard about this, and you can base your ideas off of real problems that people are facing.
So I like to call myself an edupreneur. My focus is education, and again, the focus of getting people excited, right? Entrepreneurship is getting people excited about your product. Are you guys excited waking up, going to school every day?
Sometimes.
Well, we want to change that, right? We want to get you excited to go to school. And so that's a shift, right? The idea is knowing, and as Amelia said, knowing who you're dealing with, knowing your students, knowing your clients, knowing who's going to buy the product. The idea is empathy. That's the first stage of design thinking, knowing who you're working with, standing in their shoes. That's number one, knowing who they are, and then making something for them. Right? We're not making it for ourselves, you're making it for them. And so number one, who are you making these things for yourself or for the person you're trying to sell to? That's the things you want to think about on entrepreneurship. And so think about who you're dealing with, who our world is now, who our world will be in 20 years. When you have a job, you become an entrepreneur making millions and millions of dollars. So that's who you want to build for the future.
All right, Mia, you ready to come up and ask the next one? Yeah, you.
How do you think about learning entrepreneurship skills from an early age?
I think it's a similar question a little bit. I think it's great. I think it's to me it's like sort of self-selecting. If you want to do this kind of program, then you should do it. Like, I think it's great skills. I think it's skills that we're going to need in the future. I think the world is changing dramatically. I think the opportunities right now are better than ever to create products and get them into market and solve problems and build.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think a massive skill is just being a good listener and then being a leader who is a good listener, right? It's not about convincing everyone of your idea. It's about listening and hearing an idea that's kind of, people are already talking about, a need that they already have, a problem that they're all facing, and stepping up as the leader and saying, hey, I have an idea of how we can solve this, and getting people on your team. So anything that is helping you, be a good leader, build a good team, and really collaborate to solve a problem together, and not just come up with an idea, but then really trying to implement it and seeing, like, is this really working? What problems am I facing, right? And all of those challenges around actually executing on an idea are things that are really good to practice and work out.
I remember in school learning about what is a doctor, what does a firefighter do, what does a teacher do. I never really learned about what an entrepreneur does in schools. And so how do we tie that to the career lab, to the career development in our schools and the studies, and understanding like this is design, this is creativity, this is creating something that doesn't exist before. And so, allowing our schools to be able to push this on in the world. I know that's what Bob in the 3DE Club is trying to do in the extracurricular realm, right? Teaching this in our school system. But again, how do we tie this to core content and tie this to the model of what do you do every day? So how do you build and create every day? And so that's the question. You want to give us answers, give your teachers answers. How do we do this?
Can I say one more thing?
You can.
I think being younger is a huge advantage. Like, you have fresh eyes on the world, right? People will tell you how to see things. And eventually, that'll change how you look at things. But right now, you can look at something differently than an adult can. And that's a huge advantage. And that should be celebrated and channeled and appreciated. And you should be brave in how you look at the world and how you solve the world's problems.
All right, Mila, I'll help you by calling it. Come on up here, look out there into the camera, and the eyes of the folks out there. You got it.
How do you think AI and robots will change the future jobs?
Nice job. All right, I'm gonna throw this one to Amelia.
So,
Because Saul's looking at me funny.
As an entrepreneur, AI has already changed my life a lot, mostly because it's made things that used to take me a lot of time take a lot less time, like reviewing contracts. It takes my software engineers a lot less time to write code now. And so we're kind of in this stage of AI where we have these very specific applications for it, right? We're using it to help us write, we're using it to help us code. And I really like that use of AI, right? Where it's just helping us do our jobs better and then maybe free up some time to do other things. Where I get a little bit more nervous is around this idea of artificial general intelligence. Do you guys know about that? No. It's kind of like the AI that's making all of our decisions for us, that kind of idea, right? And so I feel like there's a lot of dignity in like doing a job, right? And I think that this idea that AI is going to come and take over all of our jobs is something that we should be really thinking about as kind of how do we want to live, right? What do we want to spend our time doing and why do we work? And I work because I know what it's like to be a human being, and I know what problems human beings face, and AI is never going to really know what it's like to be a person, right? So something that you can really start to develop is just spending as much time as you can really being a person, right? Be outside, be on this earth, talk to your friends, and stay connected to kind of the problems that you're facing, and use AI as a tool to, all the things we've been talking about. Iterate on ideas, come up with ideas. Like I heard you guys talking about using AI maybe to design some of the things for your product. That's a perfect use for it. But don't start to do less and participate less in society because you have something to do all of that work for you, right? Stay really connected to people around you. Don't let it, one of the first kind of interactions that we all have with AI is with algorithms on social media. Are you guys on social media yet? No? I would recommend not doing that. That would be my biggest recommendation. Don't make Instagram, don't make Facebook, don't make a TikTok. Just hang out with your friends. And yeah.
Jason, you must have a perspective on this as an educator here in the middle of the 21st century.
Yeah, I think, AI is going to change the way we do the tedious work. Actually, I think it's going to catalyze critical thinking, because all the rote-based stuff we're used to doing by hand, AI is going to help us do that. Those things in the job market, for example, Amazon facilities, I just heard this recently, the people who used to put the stuff in the boxes are no longer needed because you have AI robots doing that. But what they need now is people to fix the robots. So more robotic technicians now go in and fix the robots. So now these low-level, entry-level job people in these positions who are packing the boxes are now being trained on how to fix those robots. So do more creative-based work, more technical-based work, rather than just the tedious work of packing the boxes. I think it's going to shift our jobs just like the calculator shifted math work. And point of sale systems change the way people do cash registers and cash back, and get cash back at a retail location. Changing bookkeeping, how QuickBooks changes the idea of a bookkeeper in every little small business. So it's shifting, it's another new technology that's just shifting our career models. We'll see what happens with AGI as comes to fruition, and I think Elon Musk has this kind of doomsday model of that, which I'm not going to elaborate on. But again, it's a shift of how we do work, and it's a new technology that's ultimately going to help us, but you don't want to rely on it solely. You still want to know the fundamentals and know how to do math. Even though it can be math, it can do math for you. You still need to know how to do the math. It's faster once you know how to do the math. So fundamentals are still important.
Saul, you had a comment a minute ago about how because of AI, it's never been easier to build and ship product. Say a little more about that.
Well, I agree with Amelia and Jason, mostly. I think AI is going to change society dramatically, because I believe right now, and people will disagree with me on this, but I actually think the sort of, I think it's going to bring back the middle class. I think that normal people who maybe didn't go to college, who weren't always on the right track, can stop for a minute and utilize their creativity and their humanity to build products and businesses that they couldn't have previously. And I think that that's the biggest opportunity AI has, is to bring some democratization to the tools that people use to build businesses. And so that, to me, I think that's how I see AI affecting the next 20 years. Is I think there'll be a resurgence of the middle class in our country that will take advantage of these tools that they could never have access to previously. And that begins here. That begins with education. That begins with knowing the basics of math or science or engineering. And I think that's going to be a really dramatic change for the better.
All right. Let's give a big round of applause to our panelists. Before I let you guys go, though, the first half of today is really for all of you, and really for everybody, to think about what's entrepreneurship, why is it important, why are these skills important. So I just want to recap really fast before you all become the stars of the show. Yeah, we're going to be going Shark Tank style in a second. Some of the things that we've heard about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. Passion, perseverance, having a big idea and staying focused on it. Trying, failing, trying again, iterating, as Joe Bennett said. Imagination. So many of the folks who have been up here, and every one of the folks who've been up here talking with and for you all this afternoon have talked about imagination, dreams, being able to see those things and say, hey, here's a problem, how can I solve it? And again, in solving it, how can I try and fail and try again? The importance of making and tinkering and just doing stuff to learn how things work, how things come together, and again, how you can do it better the next time. Support and mentorship, huge thing that all of our panelists talked about, and that you all are getting through this program, and we will all be providing for these students through this program is the support and mentorship to learn how to do all these things. Customer empathy, understanding that you're building for somebody else. How do you get in someone else's brain? How do you know what they want or need? And I think the last thing I'll close off with, just to reiterate a really good point that Amelia made. You can only do that if you're participating. You can only do that if you're connecting with other people. You can only do that if you're not staring at your screen all day long and you're actually out there in the world, seeing how it works, being curious about how it works, and thinking, dreaming, scheming, imagining how it could all be a little better. All right, so that's my quick recap of everything we've heard one more time. Thanks to the panelists.